The new Arc-Tempered Ray Dao set gave us the perfect way of using latent power with the new set bonus Guts to give us a lot of affinity, 50%, and an insane amount of attack, 5% with the Guts set. But is there a way to get the maximum amount of damage with the set? And is there any other ways, any other builds that you can get the best type of value with latent power? Well, we're gonna go through every one of them, and my personal favorite to get you the maximum amount of damage with it too. In this video, we're gonna go through it. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Twitch to watch me live every morning. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support my content. Let's get into it. First of all, what's the point in latent power? The point, honestly, is the fact that it gives you so much affinity. It triggers after 2 minutes of starting a fight or whenever you take around 130 damage. I made a video on how you can actually trigger this at the start of the fight. I'll leave it in the description down below, where you can hit yourself with many ways to get this buff instantly when you start a fight. And whenever you get yourself a few pieces of this as well, you get Ray Dose Voltage, making the buff last for longer. To 2 minutes and 30 with 2 set and to 3 minutes and 30 with 4 set. And you also get yourself Lord Soul that gives you way more damage and lets you survive a 1 lethal hit. These are all super good stuff. Before you actually go for latent power, you need to establish what type of monster you're actually going. Are you gonna actually be able to hit yourself enough with the monster's power or with some barrel bombs or the corrupted mantle to be able to get damage into the boss, or is it gonna just be worthless and you're gonna end up waiting for 2 minutes and the boss is gonna be dead already? Or is the fight gonna last for a long time, enough for you to pass, the 2 minutes to pass and you to actually trigger latent power and get, the 3 minutes and 30 seconds that it actually lasts? Well, of course, if the fight lasts for 2 minutes, yeah, it's not going to be worth it. If it lasts for 3 minutes, it's going to be a little bit worth it, as you're going to get 1 minute in. If it's going to last 4 minutes, great. If it lasts 5 minutes, even better, especially if you have the 4 set. But if it lasts 6, well, maybe it's not going to be that nice, because it's going to be 2 minutes, 1 minute and a half of you not getting the buff. You have to consider all these things, and when you're gonna trigger this buff, the 2 minutes of just waiting or for you taking damage, you have to consider this before you actually want to go for latent power. But let's say that you do. Which pieces should you use? We want to have 3 pieces of the Y set and 4 of just Ray Dao. Why is that? Is because we can actually, instead of going for full Ray with the Y, you can actually just go for a alpha or beta version of this and keep your 4 sets. This way you can actually move around with different types of decorations and change pieces that you would usually not really want to go for, like the boots and the chest, which in my opinion are the ones that are the least valuable. Being said, personally, I would just replace the chest with an ominous shot, as it's one of the best pieces to actually go for overall in the game right now, and put the legs with a beta version. You get yourself a latent power instead of the stun resistance and stamina surge, even though those are pretty useful. You can still go for those as well. And then take advantage of this particular spots right here, these decorations. Go for some challengers, maybe even some tenderizer if you want that instead. A chain jewel. You can get yourself counter charm to get yourself counter strike as well. But I really like getting full latent power myself. And because the power charm latent power gives you 3, you ideally want yourself to get only 2 latent powers inside of your set. The counter charm does the same thing, so it will be your choice on which one to go for. That being said, power charm is stronger, as it is indeed 3 level 3 decorations in 1 charm, so I heavily recommend it. And how I end up with this particular build, and I know we don't have the ominous chest, but that's because we have the power charm instead, and we don't want to be forced to take another latent power on the boots. So we'll switch it up. Now we get ourselves a maximum might from the chest. Some beautiful spot decorations over here with sheath for longsword, and for any other weapon you can put this with whatever you want, whatever one decoration you need. And you can have, I have my burst because stain is one of the best top 3 decorations we can ever have. And for this ones you can put whatever you want, tenderizer or challenger, depending on the boss or whatever your playstyle is. So whoops, my legs were the wrong ones. I had numinous griefs alpha one, or should have been beta. This gives us the possibility of getting us a third challenger, giving us level 3 agitator, which is way better. Now you can go for the Graves A instead, and just don't get counter, get you or something else. You can get like a Phoenix or an ambush, whatever you want. Even some heroics, and we're going to talk about that later. It's great with latent power if you really want that level 1 decoration over there. But if not, just go for the beta there and get yourself a third agitator. But this build is very, very good. 1 weakness exploit, elemental absorption, which is great for raid down. Level 3 agitator, or you can change that into level 4 weakness exploit instead. Maximum might, counter strike, and of course level 5 latent power. I would not recommend more weakness exploit though, because our affinity is absolutely through the roof. With all of the buffs, agitator, and latent power, we're going to be at 92% without considering the weakness exploit number 1. So that's 97% on normal attacks, on weak points, and 100% on wounds. So yeah, this build is absolutely crazy with the amount of damage attack it gives, and of course also the crits. We'll leave it there just 1 second more for you to check it out before we move on to the next one. And of course, the big advantage of this build is that you can stay with your latent power for 3.5 minutes because of having the lower set. But the next one, we're not going to have that advantage. We're instead going to change some things out. So we have another set, which is indeed the Nomina set of Shia's Pulse. Now, because we have raid douse voltage at only 2 instead of 4, we still have Gods, by the way, to do more percentage damage, and of course have 1 more life, because we have 3 pieces of the Archtemper raid down set. But now we also have Shia's Pulse. And what does that do? Allows the health gauge to continue to slowly recover up to a maximum value, even if there's no red portion. Which is absolutely great, because let's say that we do not want to wait for the boss, for the 2 minutes for latent power to actually trigger. We can get ourselves damaged on purpose. Well, assuming that the boss will indeed do more damage than this. I'm gonna get myself my Corrupted Mantle in here too, so our health can go down and down and down faster. Okay, there we go. And at this point, latent power would indeed be applied. And as soon as my Corrupted Mantle stops ticking, actually, let's just take it off. Look at that. My health is gonna start recovering, giving us a great chance for us to play very aggressively, to get our latent power instantly in the fight, and then get the full advantage of it, another 100% affinity, with none of the risks, because you're slowly getting your health back. You can see the beautiful decorations, the beautiful skills we have here. Get myself a chain, because obviously a great piece. Challenger, because, well, agitator is great. But if you don't want to go for challengers, you can go for full tenderizer instead. But as I said before, I would not really recommend it. Jade will be more consistent, but we are already at 100% affinity. Get ourselves a counter strike as well, level 3, maximum might of course, and the elemental absorption as well. Very nice build, very consistent, but it will mainly be used on fights that take heavy advantage of latent power, as after this buff stops working, the fight will indeed slow down. You will lose most of your affinity and you'll be very, very sad. You of course can play around with this, going for less latent power and instead go for more weakness exploits, so the fight is a bit more consistent in this regard, and even when you drop it, you'll be fine, and go for full weakness exploit instead, for example, and just a little bit of agitator. But the main part of this build is indeed to have the healing from Numinous Graves, and because you're indeed gonna be taking advantage of the fact that you're gonna get that passive that will slowly heal you, I think it's very important to use this build in kind of an aggressive manner and just get that latent power at the start of the fight and try and finish the boss as fast as you can while you're healing yourself little by little. The point of this build is that you have the antivirus set. The Gore set's 2-piece in order to make yourself at Frenzy and Cured with Sane, which will give you affinity. This 2 set has been the most important part of the entire meta for Monster Hunter Wilds for a while, and it gets you to a whopping 92% affinity, plus with the next exploit 97, and 98 on 100 on wounds. This will be a bit more consistent because you're not gonna have to deal with the agitator. You know, a little bit of the affinity will be an antivirus instead, which is very, very nice. It is definitely a set And I tried to really recombine it a lot around to see if I could get something more interesting, but I ended up with the same build that Dreaming Sun Tide got. So I feel a little bit dumb for trying so hard. I'm not gonna lie though, I'm not really that much of a fan. The first build we had was, you know, it had latent power for longer and arrives to the same affinity. It should have the same amount of attack power, so I don't know. Not that much fun about this one. And specifically for her longsword, it kind of sucks because you don't have enough decoration wands to get yourself sheath. So it's still something, and maybe in other weapons it's actually super good. But yeah, I mean, it definitely exists. And here are the decorations. Now, before we go into the big based one, that is maybe the one that really will change everything, I'm gonna go for my favorite one personally, is the Fulgur set one. You combine 3 pieces of Ray, or Temper Ray Dow, and you get yourself 2 Fulgur pieces in order for you to get yourself this big stamina bar here at the top. You can see right there. It's a little bit above the actual one that you have. I actually made an entire video about this build. And what you can do is essentially dodge, specifically with longsword, without losing your maximum might. It's super cool, and this is why I went for full adrenaline rush on this build as well. You can see right here, only have 2 pieces, but look, okay, we don't have that much space. But this adrenaline rush plus the counter will give us to a great amount of attack power whenever we trigger all of this. Of course, you can move it around and have a different type of build. But for me, for this build, going for evades makes a lot of sense, considering the fact that latent power already gives you a 50% reduced stamina depletion, which is something that nobody's actually taking into account. With this build, you can just tackle, evade, how many times you actually... Oh, well, now I fell there. How many times you actually want with no problems at all. You can just tackle and not have any issues into losing your beautiful stamina. It is super useful for builds that use a lot of evade. And if it's one of you, you're one of them, and you're using a lot of stamina and you see your maximum might go off, get yourself the head and chest from Fulgur, and you will have no issues anymore. And boom, for the build that I made myself, the Giga Chat build, the build that will make you do an insane amount of damage with an insane amount of risk, the Heroics build. And what is Heroics? It's this: increase attack power and defense when health drops below 35%. It gives you at level 5, which is what we have here, a 50%, sorry, 30%, I don't know, was it 50? 30% buff of attack, making your damage be insanely big. And because we already want to get ourselves hit because of latent power when we start the fight, Heroics is perfect. Now, this is a highly risky build. So not only you're gonna get yourself damaged with in order to get yourself potential, you're also gonna have to get yourself damaged and keep being damaged around this amount of health. Oh wait, exactly this amount of health that you can see right here, and keep being at this so your attack is permanently up. You can do this, of course, with just getting damage from the boss and corrupted mantle and so on and so on, but keeping this on this one is gonna be very risky, as you can just get a one-shot. Not even gods will work. As you can see here on the top left, there's a little bit of like a little flag on the right. That is the flag that means that you're gonna be resurrected by gods. The same applies for the Moxie Food and of course the Palico saving you. If you get hit with this, you will indeed die. Your attack though is absolutely insane, even though I'm right now on an elemental weapon, and your affinity as well. You get yourself Tenderizer 1 as well. So you'll be applying 95% affinity on normal attacks and 98 on wounds. And if you want to go even a step further, then I would not recommend this. Let me see if I actually can survive this attack. Oh, yeah, almost. You can get yourself a special buff that can be triggered only by you eating any food and getting lucky, called the Piping Hot Meal skill effect. That'll give you 64 attack, but only whenever your health arrives to that little, and you can see it on the top left, that little flag there. Oh, I died. I overdid it. Let's try this again without dying, yeah? And there, look at that. If you make it, your attack even gets even further to an insane amount. Oh, but I lost it right there. I'm gonna get myself more damage. I'm just gonna get my Corrupted Mantle, as this one actually does not kill you. And then boom, there we go. 1100 attack on this particular weapon. Absolutely insane. With essentially full affinity. I don't even have Counter-Strike on right now. So yeah, very, very, very risky build. But if you're a god, okay, guys? If you are going to a boss and just... If you're going into a boss and you're like, no, I'm not gonna get hit. Or maybe the boss is just... It's like a normal Chatacabra, guys. And you know that you're gonna get yourself into that Chatacabra with latent power and with no health on purpose to do an insane amount of damage. Just go in there, blast it, get to literally 0 health that you could die with a little hit of literal wind and start pumping, guys, because, well, you will do insane amount of damage permanently with this one. And of course, you most likely will end up killing the boss before your latent power runs out. So definitely get in there and destroy those monsters. Last chance to check out the build, boys. Here it is. Here it is. Last chance. And there you go. That's all the builds that I wanted to talk about today. Tell me if there's anything that you thought could be better, or anything that I missed, or anything that I got wrong. And I'm really enjoying latent power and figuring out how to play with it. Honestly, that's one of the best things about Monster Hunter. Knowing that every time a new monster comes out, there's a new set. And how is that going to change the meta? It's such a cool little concept. Even if before we still have the same sets that we had before and you can still use them, it's kind of cool to think that, oh, maybe who knows what's going to have next? Who knows what type of builds we're going to get next? I think that is absolutely one of the best things about this game, and I'm so happy that I can be part of it. So definitely subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support my content. Go to my Twitch to watch me live every morning. See you around. Love you all. Bye-bye.